Our special guest speaker, Mr. Robert ONeil, is one of the most highly decorated combat veterans of our time. He's a team leader for the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, deployed it more than a dozen times, and held leadership roles in over 400 missions. As a Navy SEAL team leader, Mr. ONeil's certifications include Master Training Specialist, Special Warfare Sniper, Survival Expert, and Master Naval Parachuter, to name a few. Mr. ONeil has been decorated more than 52 times with honors, including 2 Silver Stars, 4 Bronze Stars with Valor, a Joint Service Commendation Medal with Valor, as well as 3 Presidential Unit Citations and 2 Navy Marine Corps Commendations with Valor. Since leaving active duty, ONeil has had a best-selling book titled The Operator, in which he takes readers on an intimate journey into a number of missions, including the rescue of Captain Phillips from Somali pirates, the rescue of lone survivor Marcus Luttrell from behind enemy lines in Afghanistan. The book offers powerful stories and new insights into our war on terror and captures the fierce and unique brotherhood among Navy SEALs. Most significantly, the book recounts the preparation for the U.S. attack on Osama bin Laden's compound in May of 2011. Since leaving active duty, ONeil is a co-founder of Your Grateful Nation, which provides individualized transition support for special operations heroes and their families. They provide executive-level mentoring, transition services, and family stabilization support. He is also a contributor for Fox News. Thank you for your time.
Spent 8 of his 16 years as a SEAL as an operator and team leader with the legendary Naval Special Warfare Development Group, where he led the most elite servicemen and was involved in the nation's most challenging, clandestine, storied, and important military campaigns of our time. ONeil is a veteran of more than 400 combat missions across 4 different theaters of war, spanning over 10 years of armed conflict. With most of his career shrouded in a classified cloak, ONeil was the man on the ground we have never heard of, but know exists. He was one of the quiet professionals performing the most difficult tasks in the most difficult circumstances, serving his remarkable career in the shadows and keeping America safe in the process. One of the nation's most decorated veterans, ONeil has been decorated more than 52 times, with honors including 2 Silver Stars, 4 Bronze Stars with Valor, a Joint Service Commendation Medal with Valor, 3 Presidential Unit Citations, and a Navy Commendation Medal with Valor. And he has a laundry list of unbelievable certifications. Robert ONeil is a living embodiment of the qualities and characteristics of the bravest men and women who have served America. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert ONeil.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. What I kind of want to do today is I'm not going to stand up here and talk about the Bin Laden raid, because the story's been told. It's out there, and a lot of people know what went down. I do have some of my books I'll be signing later called The Operator. It's detailed, and they're approved by the Pentagon, approved by the Department of Defense and certain agencies. So that's what happened on the mission that night. The spoiler alert for the book is at the end of it, Bin Laden dies. Is talk about other missions that we did that were actually more exciting, the lessons we learned from being high-performance teams, and the traits that were common to being successful. I've been out in the private sector now for quite a while, and I have yet to see groups not work with other people. So the team building skills that we had in combat, training for combat, are applicable. We were really good for one reason. We were good to each other. You know, we believe that if morale is high, the team works harder. I had bosses in the Navy that you don't need to say it in the military, but they'd say please and thank you for normal work. Just to let you know you're part of the team. Actually, you can write this down too. One of our mottos is nobody wants to work for a dick. You probably remember that. Another reason we were successful is we learned the difference between over-planning and being prepared. Too often people want to plan. And we're going to sit here and plan in the planning room, and no one gets to go home until we have the perfect plan. But what we learned is the only time the perfect plan exists is in the planning room. You know, we learned that in combat. Once we would leave what we would call execute the mission, Murphy would show up and everything changes. A prime example was we had a few weeks to train for the mission to kill Osama bin Laden, and we had the perfect plan. Some of the best tactical minds came up with the perfect plan, which we rehearsed every single day. Day and night, all day long with helicopters, all night long with helicopters. When we're done with that 15-hour day, we go back to where we're staying, and we stand around a table that's exactly what the bin Laden compound looks like, and we talked about the perfect plan. And a week and a half into it, one of the very tired bosses said, what's the worst thing that could happen? And immediately the youngest guy in the room said, the helicopter could crash in the front yard. And we're all like, what the fuck, man? Why would you say that? It's like, well, should we talk about that for 30 seconds? And that's exactly what happened. So we were able to take a potentially catastrophic event and turn it into something positive, not because of our perfect plan, which never even came close to coming to fruition. It was because of our preparation. Another reason we're successful is we learned how to take emotion out of the decision-making process. That your initial reaction is usually the wrong reaction, and it's important to take a deep breath and you can take a step back, make an informed decision. It's like, go ahead and type that angry text, but wait 24 hours. If it's still, you're angry about it, then it's probably legit. I would tell my guys, even in combat, don't react, do respond. And the fourth thing is no matter what, we never quit. That too often people are so close to a long-term goal and have a bad day, or a series of bad days, which believe me, you can have. You're not having a bad life, you're having a bad day. Take that wrap off. Time does heal everything. We learned about this the hard way at young ages in a school that every Navy SEAL goes through called Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, or BUDS is what we call it. BUDS is essentially the hardest military training in the world. Very, very difficult to get through, but it's not difficult to understand. It's not complex. The school is an outdoor concrete slab the size of this room where you get tortured every day. That's the school. Wet and cold and miserable. 1,000 push-ups a day, 1,000 sit-ups a day, 1,000 flutter kicks a day. We have these boats full of ice water, one on each corner. We call it the grinder. One on each corner just to convince the students that no matter where in Southern California, I can keep you as cold as I want for as long as I want. Pull-up bars up there. Outside of these, this grinder, all there is miles of soft sand and salt water, a couple ropes to climb a big, scary obstacle course. That's the whole school. It was even a mile from where we would do this to the galley, to the chow hall. So we get to run 6 miles a day just to eat. On top of the additional 14 miles a day you're running with boats on your heads or carrying really heavy logs. What's unique about this course, though, the only easy thing there to do is quit. They make it really easy to quit. I remember this training being so hard, I knew I had a past. I came from somewhere. I don't have a future. I'm just going to be in hell forever. That's kind of what it felt like. But you can make the pain all end by quitting. You know, do the hardest thing you ever imagined, keep doing this, or you can quit and get a warm shower, the dry bed you've been dying for, 10 hours of sleep, or you can keep doing this. To make it end, all you need to do is go ring a bell 3 times and the whole thing ends. Now the system works. They want more Navy SEALs, so their answer is to put more people into the course. Doesn't matter what you look like or where you're from, 85% don't make it through because the system works. Now, the reason the system works, again, is because of the people skills, because of the instructors. Every instructor there is a Navy SEAL. And they've been through this training. They know what it's like. And guys that have been through this training have certain qualities, one of which, to get through this, and a lot of military guys, veterans out there will agree, is a sense of humor. Because it gets so hard and so bad, sometimes if you can't laugh at yourself, you'll lose your mind. Like, you know, what horrible decision did I make in life to get here? So we learned about this dark, that's good advice for life too, guys. Don't be afraid to smile and give someone a hug every single day. Because think about this, none of us are getting out of this alive. You know, I work for Fox News. I don't believe a lot of the polls, but I'm pretty sure 10 out of 10 people die. So have a little fun. So we learned about this dark sense of humor the first day. We had 227 sailors sitting in a room. We'd all read the books, but we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what it was. Where do we go? What do we do? So they sat us there. They brought a Navy SEAL instructor in to explain to us what to expect for the next 8 months of our miserable lives. And he came walking in looking like a Navy SEAL, camouflage pants, blouse, and the boots, a tight blue t-shirt. The guy's ripped in gold. It says UDT SEAL instructor. He's got tattoos down to his knuckles. He is a Navy SEAL, so he's obviously ridiculously good looking. And he had a ball cap pulled down over his eyes, so we can't even see his eyes. And we're looking at him like you're looking at me, except we are terrified. No idea what he's going to say. And he knew that, so he kind of relished in silence. And he finally said, "Looking good today, gents." "Not you, me." I know what you're thinking. I look a little tired. It's because I am. I was up all night. I had to get my wife out of jail. She was arrested for shoplifting. Earlier that afternoon, we were leaving the mall together. She had her arm around me. Security thought she was trying to steal an anatomy chart. So we're sitting there terrified, like, what is this complete psychopath talking about? He was just having fun at our expense. He knew we were scared, so he was early. Then he got motivational and said, "Okay, look, I know you've read the books and seen the movies. Regardless of what you've been told, this course is not impossible. People have graduated. Look at me. I'm living proof. So I'm never going to ask you to do anything impossible, but I will make you do something very hard, followed by something very hard, followed immediately by something harder, day after day after day for 8 straight months. But don't think about it that way. That is not how you achieve a long-term goal. Do it like this. Wake up in the morning on time and make your bed the right way, then brush your teeth. Little victories. Make it to the 5 a.m. workout on time. And think about making it to breakfast. After breakfast, concentrate on lunch. That's your next goal. After lunch, make it to dinner. After dinner, do everything you need to do to get back in that perfectly made bed. And because the bed was made the right way, no matter how bad today was, and it was going to be bad, tomorrow's a clean slate and a fresh start. And when you feel like quitting, which you will, do not quit right now because that is emotion. Quit tomorrow. You keep doing that in that time because I'll never ask you to do anything impossible. All you need to do to get from now to graduation day is not do one thing. No matter what, never quit. You'll be fine. Now, it's easy to say never quit. It's another thing to live it. So I need to tell you a story. We would do tests every single day that you must pass to stay in the course for time or completion, whatever. The tests were not hard to understand. They were simple to understand. We have the 50-meter underwater swim. Here's the test. Jump in the pool. Feet first, go underwater, do a front flip. Do not kick off the side and swim half the distance of a football field without breathing. Simple, you pass. The 5.5 nautical mile ocean swim against the current, which is 7.1 miles, you pass. We have a test where they tie our hands behind our backs and our feet together, throw us in the deep end for 45 minutes at a time, doing different drills, exhaling to sink, floating, which is difficult, tied up, swimming hundreds of meters, grabbing stuff that they throw in off the bottom like a mask or a pen. Basically, this test is to introduce you what it's like to not be able to breathe. But what they're actually instilling in you is that panicking will not help. So just stay calm. If you can stay calm here, you can stay calm in a lot of situations. I actually started to find this relaxing because that was an hour a day where no one could yell at me, which is true. We called it drown proofing. The test I want to talk about, though, is underwater knot tying. They tied a rope the width of an Olympic pool, foot off the bottom. So 14 feet down, there's a rope. On the surface, one-on-one is a student and an instructor, and the student has an 18-inch rope of his own. And we're in the Navy, so we know how to tie a bunch of different knots. So the test is to tie a series of knots with this rope around the rope down there. So you'll be on the surface, for example, and the instructor will say, go tie a bowline knot, right? Hold your breath, swim down. He stays on the surface with a snorkel and a mask, so he is breathing, but he's watching also. So you tie a bowline knot, put your hands out, means you're done. He comes down slowly, kind of looks at you and looks at the knot and acts like he's never seen a bowline knot before. First one's always going to be wrong. He goes up for air, and you're like, of course it's wrong. You untie it, straighten it out, retie the knot. It's been about a minute and 15 seconds. He comes down again. Yeah, that's good. So you untie the knot, you both go back to the surface for one breath of air, which is enough time for me to tell you that knot number 2 is a square knot. So go down, do the whole thing again, another minute, holding your breath, come back up. Knot number 3, a right angle. Anyway, so the test is simple. You tie 5 knots in a row the right way, you pass the test. A friend of mine named John was on his last attempt. And they will let you try a certain amount of times, but if John doesn't tie all 5 knots right now, they're going to kick him out today. He'll never be a Navy SEAL, lifelong dream, a lot of pressure. So on his 5th knot, John drowned. So he's down there, and the instructor sees him. He's not trying to kill him, so he grabbed John, he swam him back to the thing, threw him over onto the pool deck. He jumped out, he starts yelling for the corpsman, the medic. He's gathering his stuff and running, and it's a long way, and the instructor realizes that, so he straddled John. He started doing a sternum rub. He started CPR. We could actually hear him yelling at him, "Come back to the light." So this kid was out for a minute and a half. He finally spit up all the water out of his lungs. And the first words he said were, "Did I pass?" And the instructor kind of sat back on his legs, and he's getting his color back too because he gets to keep his job, so he's happy. And he goes, "Yeah, man, you passed." And John goes, "Thank God, I finally tied the 5th knot." And the instructor said, "Well, no, you didn't tie it. Look, I'm in a really good mood right now, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I don't care how many knots you know how to tie. That is not part of the curriculum to become a Navy SEAL. My job simply is to see how far you'll push yourself. You just killed yourself, so you passed the goddamn test." Exactly. It worked for me. About 33 originals graduated from Buds Class 208. From there, we were assigned to our SEAL teams, and the way the SEAL teams work, they're just groups of SEALs divided by number. So the odd numbers are in San Diego, SEAL teams 1, 3, 5, and 7. The even numbers are in Virginia, SEAL teams 2, 4, 8, and 10. I was assigned to SEAL Team 2, so we drove out east, stopped by Fort Benning, Georgia for Army Airborne. They taught us how to jump. Went up to SEAL Team 2, and then we started a 13-week course called SEAL Tactical Training, which is now it's more advanced small unit tactics, how to be a SEAL. You graduate that 13 weeks, and then you're put into a 6-month probationary period full of tests, drills, evaluations, finished with an oral board. If they like you at the board, you are awarded the insignia for Naval Special Warfare, which is the Trident. You become a SEAL. They put you in a group now called a platoon, which is 14 to 16 guys. That platoon works together every single day for a full year, getting to know each other's tendencies, standard operating procedures, how we work. Then they send us overseas on deployment. Now, my first deployment was 2 years after I enlisted in the Navy as a SEAL, pre-9/11. So not a lot to do. There were jobs here and there, occasionally in the Middle East, Kosovo, Liberia, but most of the time we're training with our allies in case of a war, in case of contingency. So a lot of time in the UK and Scotland with the Special Boat Service, the SPS, Norway with the Jaegers, the German Kampfschwimmers. But we're working 4 or 5 days a week, and we have the weekends off, and we're 23-year-old single guys. So we're going out to the pubs and hitting Oktoberfest and Stonehenge, seeing the sights. They were like working vacation, these deployments. We did it for a number of years, and we had fun, but it all changed abruptly on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. I felt like everybody, I want to fight. I knew I could fight against Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan with SEAL Team 2, but I knew about another team that would be going in probably first. One more team is in Virginia Beach on a base by itself. A big budget, way bigger budget, better opportunities, older, more experienced SEALs work there. We would see those guys out of town and refer to them as the boys across the street. But they become known today as SEAL Team 6, or Naval Special Warfare Development Group. Whatever they called it, the best SEALs went there. I wanted to be there, so I went across the street. Now, the process to get over here is not well known. You know, this isn't in the movies. You need to get approved by your, what we say, a conventional SEAL team to represent them in a 3-week screening process. And that, a screening is just, you show up on the first day, you do a really hard physical test like a triathlon, finish that in time, you get into peer evaluations, top-down evaluations from SEALs that are already there, on oral board, like 14 senior guys grilling you on everything, your tactics, yes, but your finances, credit card debt, how much you drink, your home life. Then, if they like you there, they send you to the psychiatrist for a lot of psychological evaluations. I'm kind of laughing because One part of the psych eval took me a day and a half to finish because it was a 5,000 question multiple choice test. And like, you know, like with the number 2 pencil, little bubbles and shit. And the answers are all based on behavior. So 1 is I never feel that way. There's 2, and then 3 is I seldom, and 5 is I always feel this way. And it's all, some shrink came up with an algorithm because the questions don't make sense to me and they're in no order. But it's like, question 1, do you love roses? 5, always, because everyone loves roses. 2, do you want to decapitate kittens? Well, shit, that escalated very quickly. I can sell them on the kitten, right guys, sell them? We actually finished the test and I asked my shrink what was the point of the test, and she said, we're not trying to figure out if you're crazy, we're trying to figure out which flavor of crazy you are. Crazy. So you finish that and then you do another really hard triathlon type workout, and if they like you in the 3 weeks, they invite you to a 9-month selection course. So SEAL training, BUDS, the ones that on the movies is 8 months long, this one is 9 months long. So it's longer than BUDS. I thought it was harder, but it's different because now it's not that group of sailors trying to become Navy SEALs. These are experienced Navy SEALs trying to get to the next level. Everyone there has the never quit. They'll die before they can't tie the knot. So in order to select guys, we had to try to find people who can not just think, but who's willing to make decisions right now rapidly in a high-stress environment. So as best we could, we came up with drills to simulate the stress of combat, but put it in a training environment. So because it's not actual combat with bullets flying, and it's a controlled training environment, it's all self-induced stress. But we're looking for the person who can realize that in life, all stress is self-induced stress. That it's in your mind. Stress is a choice. Stress is a bag of bricks that sits by your bed in the morning, and when you wake up, it's your decision. You can pick up stress and let it weigh you down, start the day off with a completely negative attitude, and ruin everyone else's day around you. Or, at any time, and you should try this, you can put stress down and forget about it, because you should, because it's not helping, and it's in your mind. It's like guilt. It's like in combat, bravery doesn't mean you're not afraid. It's not the absence of fear. It's simply the ability to recognize fear, acknowledge fear for what it is, then push it aside and do it anyway. Actively participate in saving your own life. Don't be the person who sits there in the corner in the fetal position, frozen, dying of shame when the active shooter comes in, waiting for someone better to come rescue me. What are you going to do about it? Do something. The analogy that I've come up with to put stress in perspective is whether you're taking effective fire on a mountaintop in Afghanistan, or you're the woman landing a jet on an aircraft carrier at night in high seas, or you're the person making latte at a coffee shop at 7 a.m. on a Monday. There's a line of angry customers around the corner. What those three have in common is they only feel the amount of stress they allow themselves to feel. And then no one has ever accomplished anything positive by panicking. You know, people have asked me all the time on a lot of these missions, weren't you afraid? Yeah. So what? It's okay to be afraid because fear is natural. Fear is actually healthy. Fear will make you think more clearly. Think about the last time, for some reason, you decided to watch a scary movie by yourself and you can hear everything in the house. That's fear. I'm about to turn 42. I was a Navy SEAL for 16 years. I'll be in my apartment in Manhattan watching a scary movie at night, and the ice machine will go off. And I'll be like, Satan, Jesus. It's okay to be afraid, but there's a very, very fine line because panic is contagious. And panic will get us all killed. I'll give you a prime example. I fly every single day. I get to use airports as examples. Think about the last time you were flying somewhere and someone from Zone 3 had the nerve to try to board with Zone 1. What does everybody in the terminal start doing? You know, get your shit, Carol. We're not putting up with this. Like, those fights start, there's a weird thing, we take off 20 minutes late. I have yet to meet anyone who hasn't said, at the baggage claim, why is it we all crowd around it? Why don't we just back off? And we can all see the bags, and then I'll get my bag, and you hear that goddamn bell go off, and the sheep just start moving. The point I'm making is panic is contagious. So the first group of tests we came up with were all based on skydiving. So we have students doing drills in the air after they depart an aircraft. So they're plummeting towards the earth, which for some weird reason can add stress to certain people. But this is not a daytime jump when the sun's out. And we can see each other, we have fun. If you can picture a cargo aircraft flying this way, so the plane is going that way, like the C-130, and there's a ramp down in the back to the open air, and there's 37 guys facing this way, and it's so dark you can't see anything, but you can feel it, because it's cold. You know, the air is very thin. You know you're at altitude, and one after another you follow each other into that black abyss. 1,000, 2,000, look 1,000, pull 1,000. And as you pull your ripcord, your canopy comes off your back in 2 sets of risers. You want to grab the rear set of risers and assist the canopy with the opening, and turn yourself to the right. Everything that we did as Navy SEALs, we have rules. One of our rules is on a combat jump, when you depart the aircraft, the target is over there. The reason the target's that way is because these parachutes are not round. They don't go straight down. They're elliptical, like a wing on a plane. They're going to go 20 miles an hour forward in no wind. So the reason the target's that way is because we know if and when we bump each other, which happens, talk about fear. That is terrifying, but we're smart enough to know it's safe, going the same direction. If we hit each other going the opposite directions, it's going to be catastrophic, because you smack body to body at those speeds, you're going to die on impact, probably get split in half. And if you hit each other's lines, you're going to wrap up in a big, nasty ball of rope and silk plummeting together towards the earth, thinking about how painful that was to get my hand cut off by a rope. And we both get to die in about 36 seconds when we smack right into the mountain. So this is all simulated stress. So the first thing you want to do when you get on your heading is pull down your night vision. If you are dying to know what the sensation of night vision is, go to happy hour tonight and knock back 6 drinks really quickly, then find 2 toilet paper rolls and pretend they're green. You're kind of wobbly, your periphery goes to shit, and pretty soon it doesn't matter anymore. So then we get in line with each other, 10 feet back and 10 feet up. So we've got jumper, 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 jumper. That line is called a stack. The stack is going to go to a spot 11 miles away that none of us have seen before except on a map. Now the low guy, who's furthest out and down, has the hard job or the fun job, depending on your attitude. He's called the lead jumper. What he needs to do is get everybody in line with him, get on heading, get the night vision down, positive identification on the drop zone. Then with his limited instruments, he needs to do a calculation called the glide ratio in his head, which is going to be altitude, distance, speed, heading, bearing, and course. Can we make it there? If we can't make it there, I need to decide that right now and find an alternate drop zone. And the way you find that is a spot with limited obstacles. And when you're skydiving, obstacles are houses, animals, fences, God forbid, power lines. Make a nice, safe pattern into that place, because you don't want to hit each other on the bottom and go in the opposite directions. It's just as bad. You wrap it 300 feet, you're going to be just as dead as 22,000 feet. And he also needs to find out what the wind is doing on the ground. When we departed the aircraft at altitude, the wind was at our backs, and as we descend, it shifts. So as he's doing all this stuff, he's also looking for indicators for wind. So bushes, trees, birds. I used to use my own feet. How am I being pushed? Because you want to find the maximum amount of wind on the ground so you can land into it, slow down and stop. Because we're going 20 miles an hour to no wind. If he screws that up, and there's a 15-mile-an-hour wind at our backs, we could have saved the Air Force a lot of time and money if instead of borrowing their aircraft, we went to Hertz and got like a minivan and drove through the desert at 3 a.m. at 35 miles an hour, and then just opened the door and jumped right into a cactus. So that's the first 3 weeks, and in that time we'll do 65 to 75 of those jumps, sometimes as high as 25,000 feet. We'll lose a few guys out of the course, not because they quit, but because they got hurt. It's really easy to get hurt doing that. Or because they violated too many of our rules in a row and they're proving to us that they're unsafe. These guys are trying out for a hostage rescue team. The job is way too precise. If you're unsafe, we'll just fire you. So the remainder of the course, the next 8 months, is all based loosely on one set of tactics called close quarters battle, or CQB. And CQB is these SWAT team style entrance you'll see in action movies, where the good guys come into a room, try to clear the area, and save the other good guys from the bad guys. The reason that we use these sets of tactics in so many spots is because in most environments, jungle, desert, mountain, it comes down to an entry point where we're going to go in and fight. So when an operator comes through an entry point, there are definite steps, distances, movements, and angles for every single guy as they enter, and they differ based on protecting each other's backs. So we'll enter with 4 guys at a time into what's called a shoot house or a kill house. And a kill house is simply a training area that's laid out like a hotel. So it looks like a hotel, but unlike a hotel, the walls are ballistic because we're shooting live ammunition, blowing up real bombs. And up in the rafters on catwalks, there's 20 SEAL Team 6 instructors. So a minimum of 5 sets of eyes on each guy as they enter the room. And what they're doing with these guys is when a student comes into a room and makes a mistake, which he will, you're going to make mistakes. They're going to point it out, though, and they're not going to stop the training to correct it. They're going to let you keep going, and now they're going to start adding pressure, yelling at you, calling your name, calling you stupid, shining a flashlight. What are you doing here? To see what kind of a person you are. Are you the type of a person who comes into a situation, makes a mistake, acknowledges that mistake? I made a mistake. Worrying about it right now is not going to help. I have a job to do. We will talk about it later and hopefully correct it. Or are you the type of a person who comes into a situation, makes a mistake, and then you can't stop thinking about that mistake, even though it's not going to help. You're worrying about that mistake, and then over here you make an even bigger mistake, and that's where they're going to get you. Even if you don't make a mistake, they're going to start yelling at you and adding pressure about a mistake you both know you didn't make, to see how you handle making a mistake you didn't make. They're trying to get in your head. It's all stress. I can talk about CQB and the tactics for weeks at a time, but to give you an idea of what's going on, I'm going to walk you through what the number 1 man is thinking as he enters a room. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be one guy through one door on one wall in one room. Think about how many rooms are in this hotel, and angles and stairwells, and it's going 10 times faster than I'm about to explain it. So if you could imagine a door right here, I'd be the number 1 man pointing my gun at the door. There's going to be a 2-man, a 3-man, and a 4-man immediately behind me in a line that we call a stack or a train. Based on what the door looks like, and it has to go in order every single time, because they are watching. As I see a door I don't see, hinges, door opens, I put the fire, check the door, doors unlock, wait for the signal. And the signal is going to be a squeeze in the leg or the shoulder from the 2-man, letting the 1-man know through effective communication, we have enough guys. It's time to go in the room. The 1-man doesn't need to waste time by turning around and counting for himself. Plus, if he did that, he just dropped security on the door, and that's a safety violation. You're fired. So, once he gets the squeeze, it's open door outside, foot comes in, through windows, corner, inside, foot to the force off the walls, they start windows, sweep over 6 feet off the rest, he charges, threat, engage, hits my front, sweep a foot, but his barrel second, sweep to the corner, middle, say clear. Now, the reason that can be stressful is because if, like, you're the 2-man with your hand on the 1-man's shoulder, and you're the one responsible for the squeeze, but you're having a bad day, and you don't want to screw up this next run, so you try to choreograph what's going to happen in the room, even though you should never do that. Don't assume something's going to go a certain way. Get there and then respond with your tactics and your training. Okay, so he's the 1-man, I'm the 2-man, so he's going to go that way, so I'm going this way. So this is definitely my outside foot. We have enough guys. Go. And all of a sudden he decides to go this way. Now you just stepped with the wrong foot, but you have to go that way. It comes back, so you're tripping over yourself. You're really mad at him. They're yelling at you, and that's when you shoot the wrong target. You are fired right now. Never coming back. One mistake like that. Even if you don't make a mistake, I was that 1-man, did the whole thing like this, there was room to say clear. They actually stopped the training. Everyone stopped so they could all yell at me. ONeil, how could you do it? You're supposed to be 6 feet from the door. We taught you that. You're way too far in the room. Why? Now, the answer to that question is always, because I'm an idiot. Deflate the argument. Do not ever get into an argument. You can't win. It's like when your wife comes home, honey, we need to talk. Just start a fucking fire in the kitchen. It's way easier to manage. So, 6 feet from the door, take a step half an inch to the right. So I went. That's where we want you. Get outside. So now you're going to go outside to get your ass handed to you. They got this big monster truck tire with a harness, and you put that on and you're dragging this. You're wearing your body armor, your helmet, you've got your gun, you're dragging this monster truck tire. It's 105 degrees in Mississippi in May. You do it this way, you do it that way. 20 solid minutes of tire drags, put it down, climbing ropes. You're hot, you're mad at yourself, you're pissed. That's when they put you right back in the train, going through it again. Why? They want to see how you handle it. We know you didn't screw up, but we punished you for it. Can you get over it? Get over it. So this course is 9 months long, and 50% of the Navy SEALs who try out do not make it. So that's very humbling. Half of the guys who have been through what they call the world's most difficult military training fail this military training. But the ones who make it through, now you get to be part of what's called a Tier 1 unit. Now you're part of the team that will get the most daring and dangerous. This is where you go from actually being a Navy SEAL to being non-existent, and you take your family with you, and you stay as long as you like, and there's no social media. There's fake email names so you can talk to your kids when you go to war. Now you're at a point, you can no longer be taught tactics, you need to invent tactics. What is my opponent doing, and how do I stay fluid? How do we change the rules to make sure that we're adapting to their adaptations? How do we make sure the guys coming through this course are prepared to go to war as soon as they get here? Because when we go to war, I do not have time to micromanage you. There's too much at war going on. And micromanagement is counterproductive and it wastes time. I always ask people, are you teaching your people and your team how to do their jobs, or are you trying to do their job for them? You know, our guys didn't need to be told what to do because they were prepared. I know guys that graduated that course. 4 days after they graduated, their first mission at SEAL Team 6 was to jump into Somalia to rescue Jessica Buchanan from Al-Shabaab. But none of them failed. They killed 22 terrorists, not one injury, because they were prepared. And preparation comes from training, communication, repetition. Training, communication, repetition. You know, we would train hour after hour, day after day, fine-tuning our tactics, changing our rules when we needed to, but most importantly, learning the best ways to effectively communicate with our team, because we really believed if our guys knew what they were doing and why they were doing it, they would be more efficient. And we learned the less we talked, the more effective our communication was, because we got rid of the noise, the useless nonsense that's being said. Think about the email you probably got today with like 19 people on the CC line. That all it says is FYI. See below, FYI. Some jackass always puts K. You know, it's like, where's the message? Just because you're talking does not mean you're communicating. We learned if we were silent, we were faster, more efficient, and communicating at the highest levels without talking. So we did that in war. We wouldn't talk to each other. The prime example, the Laden Raid. Helicopter crash, immediate gunfight, people in the wrong spots. When that 8.5 seconds of complete chaos is over, now there's 23 guys with guns coming through your house. I've had almost 7 years to think about that too, and I've thought a lot about it, and I need to share this with you. That had to be really scary for Al-Qaeda. Something's here to get me and I can't hear it, and I can't see it, and then it's over. They actually, some missions that my team and I were part of, they actually made 4 major motion pictures about those, and I need to share this with you. I am horrible to watch action movies with, because it's always the same thing. The helicopter lands, and the Americans get out, and something blows up, and then out of nowhere comes that big white guy with the crew cut. Go, 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 go! I'm always like, wow, thanks, bro, because we weren't going to go. Like, you're just scaring us. We had a guy do that in Afghanistan on this target, one of my newer guys. I'm assuming most people here have not been to Afghanistan. So I need to back up and explain to you, because people don't believe what it's like. It's like going through a time warp. So I need to explain what a house in Afghanistan looks like. So if you could imagine part crossword puzzle, part Ewok village from Star Wars. Like you're going to Fred Flintstone's house. It's kind of, there's walls, but there's rooms with no ceiling. So it's open air and starlight. Next to that room is a 2-story structure that's made out of mud, but there's no windows. And you get to the outside door to get to the 2nd floor, and to get inside the door is this tall. So you're wearing your stuff, and you squeeze your way into the room, and you finally get in the room, and now you're terrified because you are face to face with a full-grown male camel. And then the wheels start spinning, you're like, well, he didn't fit through the damn. And then you start, well, why would they build a room around a camel? Then you're, oh, I'm in Afghanistan, and it fucking sucks over here. And then there's no sign of the walls. So I'm on this side, and one of my newer guys is over here, and he's not quite in place yet, but he starts taking fire. And he got a little afraid, but he definitely got adrenaline, because the first few times someone shoots an AK-47 at you, you get adrenaline, they're very loud. So he came over as push-to-talk, which is push-to-talk, and he started talking. Hey, I'm not in my place, and there's a guy, my guy is shooting, there's an entry point, we can do this, and just vomiting words. And other guys hear him, though, and they get excited, because that breeds, it's excitement. Yeah, no problem, we can go to the 6th side, hit for a mouse charge. Everyone's talking, no one's communicating. So I was on a rooftop, and I came over to mine and said, everybody calm down. Take a deep breath. It's a push to talk, not a push to think. I need you to think, then push to talk. So The point of what I'm getting at there is not don't talk to people. We just learned it's very important to effectively communicate with each other. And our first key to effective communication is when you're done saying what you're saying, stop saying it. I love quotes. I don't know where to give credit, but one of my favorites is never pass up the opportunity to shut up. So we claim to be prepared for anything at any time, and we had a chance to prove it in April of 2009. Piracy became really popular off the coast of East Africa. Somali pirates were getting these ships and the crew in the crate, and they weren't hurting anybody, but they were keeping them until someone paid the ransom, which they always did. So that service is rendered, money changing hands. This is a lucrative business. I was aware of it, but thinking, what does it have to do with me? I was in Virginia Beach. It was Good Friday, April 10th, which is my birthday. And I was at my daughter's Easter tea party at her preschool. And what we had done is we put the kids in the middle of the room in their desk, and we had a buffet set up with Easter treats, and the parents thought it'd be cool to feed the kids. So I'm in line with like Marine Corps and Navy parents, and I had a pink plate in my hand, I remember that, and I'm going through the thing and putting like cookies and smiley faces, cupcakes and shit that 4-year-olds eat on Easter, and I'm walking it back over, and I got a message. What happened is a guy by the name of Captain Richard Phillips had just been taken by Somali pirates. They're calling our team to go get him right now. So I have to look my daughter in the eyes, give her a kiss, and turn around and go to war from a preschool classroom in Virginia on my birthday, which is really bizarre when you think about it. And that's the hardest part, right there. The hardest part of combat is it's not getting shot at or having stuff blow up over there. That's easy. The hardest part is kissing your kid goodbye. Looking him in the eyes. We're both old enough to realize this could be it. This could be the last time. There's a huge difference between kissing your kid goodnight and kissing your kid goodbye. She's 13, and she's been through everything with me. She was 1 year old when we went to rescue the lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell, and then she was 4 when we went after Captain Richard Phillips. I'm going to fast forward there a little bit. The hardest one is when she was 7. That's when we went after Osama bin Laden. And that was a mission we're not coming home from. You know, we're going to die on that one. We knew it was a one-way mission. We're going to get shot down on the way in, shot up as soon as we land. If anyone's going to blow his whole family up with us in the house, it's him. We're going to run out of fuel and have 23 guys trapped in Pakistan and end our short lives in the pack. We're not coming back. We were so convinced that the guy that inevitably led me up the stairs into bin Laden's room, he pulled me aside and said, all right, don't take this the wrong way, because I'm going, 100% going, but I have to say it out loud. If we know we're going to die, why are we going? Which is fair. So we had a little discussion, and what we decided is we're not going after bin Laden for the fame or the money or bravado. We're going on this mission for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper because that was a better alternative than what was going on inside. And her last gesture of human decency was to hold her skirt down so no one could see her underwear. She jumped 1,000 feet to her death. She was not supposed to do that. She didn't want to do either one of those. She's not supposed to be in the fight. We're supposed to be in the fight, and that's where we're fucking going. So we're at home. I had a day left. I had to write a letter to my kids. So I'm writing a letter. My daughter was 7, but I wrote a letter to the 27-year-old. I'm really sorry I missed your wedding. I know you were beautiful. Thanks for taking care of your sister. What we did was noble. Tears hitting the page, not even fun to think about. Then I went to the mall to get she and her sister. I don't know what you buy a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old for daddy's never coming home, but I bought something, and I'm walking out of the mall, and I wasn't scared. I was focused, you know. So I'm walking out, and I wasn't too focused because I bumped into this kiosk, this sunglasses kiosk, and I looked down, and there's a pair of Prada sunglasses on sale for $240. And I'm looking at them, they're cool, you know, but I'm a chief in the Navy. I can't afford these. There's no, but I am going to be dead next week, and American Express can afford these. So I hooked myself up with some sunglasses, and I'm wearing them around town for my last day in Virginia, but then I start thinking, there's never a perfect plan. What if we do live through the night in bin Laden's house and like need to steal a car, which we don't have to do that, and drive to the embassy 4 hours away in Islamabad? If it comes to that, the sun's going to be up. I'm going to need sunglasses. So I carried Prada sunglasses in my pocket the night I went into Osama bin Laden's bedroom. And I wasn't thinking about them at the time because I assure you I had a lot of shit going on right here. But we got back from this mission where we weren't supposed to live. And we're cleaning ourselves up, and we're happy to get to see our families, getting ready to shower. And I reach in, I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Then I started thinking, I'm not gonna be in the Navy forever. I might get a job in marketing, because this could work. If you picture a billboard with like an operator and short sleeves tattoos, a gun, and really cool sunglasses, and all it says on the thing is, if you only have one day left to live, you might as well wear Prada. So I haven't heard from the Prada yet. So, anyway, so back to when she's 4. So we're in a classroom for Richard Phillips. I kiss her on the forehead, turn around and go to work. Now, I have a set amount of time to get where I'm going, but I'm ahead of schedule. And there's a 7-Eleven outside of the base where we're going. So I stopped at the 7-Eleven with a plan. I'm going to get as much cash as I can out of the ATM, a log of Copenhagen, and a carton of cigarettes. The reason I'm doing this, there's never a perfect plan. We are going to be jumping on the east coast of Africa today, but we might not end up where we want. If I land in a semi-permissive environment, I might be able to buy my way to safety with the cash. I might be able to barter with the locals with the tobacco. I might end up on a Kenyan beach on my birthday with cash and tobacco. So I'm in line, and there's one dude in front of me who is not in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. This guy just finished the night shift. Not a care in the world. And I'm looking over his shoulder, and one of the things I can see that he's buying is a USA Today, and the headline is about the mission we're trying to go do. Very patriotically, this guy slammed it down on the counter and kind of announced the entire store. Man, I sure wish someone would do something about this. So I'm kind of smiling, I'm recognizing the irony. And I tap him, he turns around, I go, buddy, pay for that shit and we'll do something about this. He's staring at me, I'm like, I'm not even kidding. Like, the national security timeline is squarely on your very broad shoulders, my man. So, he was cordial. He got out of the way. I got to work on time. All my guys got to work on time. And then 15 hours and 46 minutes after I got the message in my daughter's preschool classroom. Tandem pair. 2 guys connected to each other with 1 parachute. They will be next. Okay, look at the guy in front. This is the first skydive in his life. That's awesome. So that was that kid's first skydive. The reason it was his first one is because he was not a Navy SEAL. He was a communicator. His job was to set up radios on the airplane so we could talk to Washington as we're flying over. But we're 5 hours into the flight, like, never a perfect plan. What if we need better communication when we get down there? I'll handle this. Hey, bro, wake up. Huge change in plans. Guess who gets to skydive? He got all nervous. It was adorable. He tried to talk his way out of it. No, I didn't join the Navy to be a SEAL. I don't want to skydive. I'm like, I know, you're half right, asshole. Have a nice jump. So I had to hook him up to my, one of my best friends, Mike, is the tandem master. So I had to hook this kid up to him because I'm a tandem master also. So I got him there, and we're in the military. I can just make him go. But for some reason, I'm trying to talk him into it. So I'm hooking him up like, hey man, people pay for this shit on the weekends. It's a blast. The water's 80 degrees, it's gorgeous, and he's nothing, scared to death. So I was the lead jumper on the Captain Phillips rescue. So I'm on the ramp, looking down at the Indian Ocean, getting ready to jump. I turn around one last time to give the poor kid a, are we good? And I'm getting nothing. He's he's looking through straws. All of a sudden, Mike's head comes from around his head and goes, so he grabbed his head with both hands and kind of turned it back, and now they're looking at each other, like totally in each other's intimate space. And the last thing I heard Mike tell him before I jumped was, well, don't look at me, bro. I don't know what half this shit does anyway. Always having fun. And that poor kid stayed scared the entire mission. It didn't last long. It was over on a day and a half later on Easter Sunday. We rescued Richard Phillips with some shots from our amazing snipers. And we were able to do that because we were prepared. Contrary to what Hollywood has you believe, we didn't jump in there to kill those guys. We just jumped in to get the hostage, however we need to. So we put snipers down to watch them, make sure nothing unsafe happens as we're preparing to go get them for the rescue. As we're preparing, something very, very unsafe happened, and they took the shots, basically without authority. And they all hit. Now, wrap your minds around this. 4 days prior, those 3 snipers were in their own beds in Virginia Beach. Their guns did not need to be sighted in for the most difficult shots of their life, but their guns were sighted in for the most difficult shots of their lives because they were prepared. The way we stay prepared as a hostage rescue team is every operator has a big locker that looks like a cage. And inside the cage are shelves, and on the shelves are big bags that are full of gear. And the gear inside each bag is designed to assist you in a certain environment. So the bag will be, have a big bag tag labeled as such, water jump, land jump, high altitude, diving, desert, jump, counter terrorism. Then you've got a laminated inventory, what's in the bag, and a dry erase marker. The reason you have it that way is the bag might be sitting there for a number of years, and you want to train with something out of the bag, that's fine. Open that bag up, pull that gear out, and then mark it off with a dry erase marker. It's not in there. Train with it as long as you like. The second you're done using your gear, you clean it now. Because you take care of your gear will take care of you. Do everything like you do anything. Put the gear back in, set the bag up, and then wipe it off. The bag is good. SEAL Team 6 was actually developed, designed to rescue American hostages at sea. But believe it or not, it had never been done. Not one time in over 25 years. So you can imagine, it's Friday, it's my birthday, we've never done this, and it's a long weekend. I'm going to skip work today and drink beer, and I'll take care of my gear on Tuesday. No, we didn't do that. That is a shortcut. And we don't take shortcuts and save the man's life. I mentioned our rules that are, one of our rules that we always follow, that's written in blood, is complacency kills. You know what causes complacency? Success. Too much success, and people have a tendency to say the worst thing they can say when they're running a team. Well, this is the way we've always done it. That's resting on your laurels. Stay ahead of the game. Just because we're winning by 20, why aren't we winning by 30? Think about the job site. When the injury or the fatality is after 800 safe days. You wouldn't think complacency and success are conversely related. Another great one, a learning tool, is failure. Because trust me, we all fail. It's a question of whether or not you admit it. You're going to fall. Get up. And look yourself in the mirror and just own it. Be honest with yourself. Why did I fail? What did I do wrong? How do I avoid this in the future? How do I teach my team about this so we don't do it again? I'll tell another story. This is a fun story to tell, but there is a lesson in failure. I mentioned we didn't talk to these targets. We're sneaking up to a house in Iraq in 2007 after a high-value individual, an HVI. And I happened to be the point man. We would just creep up to the house, pick the locks, and go in and catch them sleeping. Because you avoid a lot of collateral damage. No one who doesn't need to get hurt gets hurt. We don't need to, and plus bombs wake people up. So we're sneaking up to this house, and these people start moving around inside. I can see it, so we know they know something's out here. But we're going after them, so we're just going to escalate force. Now we are going to put a bomb on the door. We're coming in hot. So I called a breacher up. And a breacher is a methods of entry guy. He's the guy that's going to get you in. And he decided he wanted to use, and a lot of vets out here will love this, he wanted to use a 7-foot charge of C6. That'll open the door. So a 7-footer looks like a big fruit roll-up, same color and everything. And the way it works is you just stick it on one side of the door, and it's sticky on one side. And you roll it down, and you back away. It should be capped into some sort of device. You get to a minimum safe distance, hit the magic button, boom, the door opens. Now, when the breacher's going to be doing that, his weapon is slung because he wants both hands. So he needs security. That's going to be me. So I go up to the door. The door opens this way. So there's hinges, obviously, on that side of the door. So he's going to put it down there. It'll push the hinges off. So I'm holding the crack of the door. He's doing this. And that's when my boss came up. A SEAL with whom I've been working for probably 13 years at this point. Never seen him screw up once. And he's coming up not to micromanage. He wants to observe, just to get situational awareness. So he comes up, and that's when he put his elbow on the doorbell. So it's like, bing! And he doesn't want to move it, because, bong! So the breacher is right about here. And he can't yell at him, because that's his boss. So he just goes. Now his wheels start turning, and he's fiscally conservative. He doesn't want to waste the taxpayers' money, so he just starts rolling it back up. Right? Now I'm standing right here, And I do not want to be here anymore. This is a very dangerous spot. Al-Qaeda loves to shoot through the doors, and unlike Hollywood, bullets go through a lot of shit. I don't want to be any part of that equation. I'm thinking of how to get out of this situation, so my mind's spinning. The door opens, and it's the goddamn terrorist we're looking for. So he and I share a very awkward, oh yeah. So we grab him, we throw him down, my buddy, and we cuff him. And I have my knee on the small of his back, and I look at my boss and go, well shit, let's just do that every night. But the lesson we learned, I'm not making this up, we came up with a rule for this. We've been working in Afghanistan for so long, they don't have doorbells. Iraq has doorbells. So what's the new rule? Stay a foot off the damn wall. That's how it works. So these are decisions you're making every day: avoiding complacency, staying prepared, not leaning on the doorbell. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it's important to try to keep emotion out of the decision-making process. Right here's a prime example in the casino: have a floor, have a ceiling. You get outside your parameters, cut it. Your first loss might be your best loss. We would call that don't fall in love with your target. I'm not going to get into the technology, but I'll give you an example. We had guys that could see terrorists when they would turn on, and I'm sure you can figure that out if you think about it, but we'd see where they turn on in town. A guy turned on one day in Baghdad at noon, and 2007, that's a dangerous place, so we have to do a quick risk assessment. Is the juice worth the squeeze? This guy's improvised explosive device maker. He makes roadside bombs, he kills Marines every day. Yes, we're going to go get him. So we're going to drive through Baghdad. In the middle of the day, we're driving to the house. He turns off, but we know which house it is. So we hit that house, clear it. He's not in there, but he turns on again. They're 3 blocks away. We're like, we could run to that one. So we run there. The vehicles will catch us. He turns off. We clear the house. He's not in there. He turns on again. 2 blocks away, right? You can see a pattern. And he kept doing that for about 2.5 hours. Now, it's 135 degrees Fahrenheit in Baghdad in July. We've been chasing him for 2 hours. We want to kill him for a number of reasons now. So we're getting to this house. Everyone's emotional. He turns on, and the house is all by itself, and it's across a bridge. Now, we have rules about roadside bomb makers. You don't cross the bridge in the daytime, going after them. In a house that he stays on, it's by itself. You don't go in there for obvious reasons. The bridge blows up, the house blows up. He's going to kill you. He's suckering you. My boss and I look at each other as we're driving to the thing, and we both go, cut it. So we cut it, we turn around, we're going, mission's over. As we're driving back to the base, every other Navy SEAL that's in there, sweaty and pissed, is like, what? Why are you afraid of him? Why'd you come here? We can kill him. Are you afraid of war? Calling us the worst names in the world. They stayed mad at us for about a week. They're so mad that we couldn't get him. And I saw him a week later in the weight room, and I said, hey man, that guy we were going after last week that made those bombs, what was his name? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, yeah. Hey, what are your kids' names? What's important? We'll get him eventually. That's our rules. We're trying to get home. That's one of our things. So these are a lot of the reasons that we were successful as Navy SEAls. To sort of recap how it applies. We succeeded because we were prepared to fight, made the best decisions we could under fire. Based on the preparation that got us there, we could all trust each other, and no matter how bad it got, we never quit. We're always actively participating in making it better, saving our own lives. A quick story about great advice I got from my instructor I mentioned at the beginning, before we started Hell Week. Hell Week is the hardest part of SEAL training. It's bad enough to wake up at 3 a.m. and do that nasty stuff till 11 p.m., but Hell Week starts on Sunday and doesn't end till Friday. So you do that stuff wet, sandy, miserable the whole time. You don't. If you get any sleep, it's because like on Thursday your boat crew won a race and they let you sit down for a minute and a half. Saturated from salt water and sand that by Wednesday morning when the sun comes up, every part of your body that's touching cloth starts to bleed. So it's not a fun thing, but the instructor gave me, it was great advice for getting through Hell Week, but it turned out to be great advice for life. He said, you were about to go to war for the first time, and the enemy is all your doubts, all your fears, and everyone you know back home that told you you weren't good enough to do this. Keep your head down, keep moving forward, no matter what, never quit, and you'll be fine. Keep moving forward. Like I said, I'm 41 years old. I was a Navy SEAL for 16 years, a lot of adventures, but I'm excited because my life starts right now. I'm as old as I've ever been, but I'm also as young as I'll ever be. This is the last mission I ever did in Afghanistan, 10 years after the Bin Laden raid, 10 months after the Bin Laden raid. The guy standing over my shoulder, that's my team. You can see them standing near a car. What you cannot see in this picture laying in the snow around the car are 5 insurgents. The reason those terrorists were laying there is because they were on their way to conduct a suicide operation. They found out when there was a group of Americans in a remote village and they were going to go murder everyone they could. Murder someone's daughter or son or dad. You know, these were not good people. But we found out about their plan, so we interdicted the vehicle on its way there. And their suicide mission was successful. Just not how they planned it. So, anyway, I'm able to come here today because I never quit. This nation has proven before and will again through bold operations and very brave men and women that will do everything to protect its people and preserve freedom. I have a tattoo on my left arm that I got right before I departed the Navy. I love quotes. It's my favorite quote. When President George Bush addressed the world on September 11, 2001, he said, "Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended." Now, I know a lot of people out there defending us, myself included, right now, and I assure you they're out there, they're wearing that American flag, and they're never going to quit for you. So the next time you're at work and you're just stressed out, or at home and like the walls seem to be closing in around, just take that step back and take a deep breath and think of them. And put your head down, keep moving forward no matter what, never quit, and you'll be fine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The worse the question, the better.
Questions. This is your opportunity.
You can just shout it out too. I can repeat it if you need. If anybody wants to. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for saying that. A lot of people ask if I think veterans don't get tired of hearing that. So that's thank you for saying that. Everyone's ready to try my happy hour trick. I know what night vision is, but I'm still doing that.
Right.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm curious. I read a book once. I'm a roofer. Richard Marcinko.
Yes. Road warrior.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any accuracy that he was the originator?
Yeah, he was. Richard Marcinko wrote a book called Road Warrior, and I recommend reading it. It's an excellent book. It's actually the reason a lot of guys my age joined the military was because of that book. There's a lot of accuracy in it. There's a lot of, he stretches the truth. There's one line I got asked about. He said everyone at SEAL Team 6 could bench press 500 pounds. It's not the case. But I know like one guy that can, and he's Tyrus from Gutfeld Show. Yeah, but it's a great book. He was actually able to write it under the guise of fiction because he didn't get it approved from the Pentagon. But a lot of the stuff, and he's a war hero, a Vietnam guy, started SEAL Team 6, a lot of counterterror stuff. He was the reason it was named SEAL Team 6 because he thought that because we only had SEAL Team 1 and 2, and he just thought, well, we're making 6 because the Russians will be like, we know about 1, 2, and 6. Where the hell are 3, 4, and 5? Smart. But yeah, he's a good guy. He got in a little trouble because he was doing stuff a little under the table stuff, but I met him, and he's got his head was always about the men and the mission. Good book.
Dave, I was just wondering, is your life in danger? Do you need protection of any kind?
Well, yeah, and we do have stuff in place that we've set up. A couple things I don't discuss, but yeah, I mean, it's changed because my name's out there, but it's important to remember that we're all targets. And there are people that want to kill us just because we don't believe in a lot of stuff they believe. And as far as like these radicals, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, they would rather a soft target than a hard one. Like just follow me around wherever I go and then knowing that I'll put up a fight. You know, they would rather, if they were going to blow me up in a horrific explosion, they would definitely wait until I was in a big room full of Americans. So not any more concerned than you should be. But yeah, you're sort of like, wait, what the, yeah, shit. The exits are on all 4 sides.
Yes? Did you personally know the
Did I know Luttrell? She asked if I knew Marcus Luttrell. I did not. I know him now, and he's a wonderful man. He just if you haven't read his book, Lone Survivor, after you read The Operator, and buy it again for a friend. The book Lone Survivor, definitely one to read a day and a half. The movie is the most accurate war movie about the mountains in Afghanistan. The only complaint we had about Lone Survivor is that the mountains the stuntmen were jumping off of to simulate the snipers weren't steep enough. Because it's like it's a horrific environment. But yeah, I know him. He's a great guy. I just talked to him the other day.
Is it possible that my team and I could come and take a picture with you?
Hell yes.
All right.
And if you need another one, I would check the craps tables tonight. Can I get a fever 5? Don't tell ISIS that shit. I believe so. We should have some books. Yeah, we have some books for sale at some point. I'm not sure exactly where they are, but they're here. We got a bunch. I can sign them for you too.
Before you joined the service, were you in extreme sports?
No, before I joined I actually played a year of college basketball. So I grew up playing a lot of basketball with my father, who played at the University of Montana. I played at Montana Tech, and I was never an athlete or a tough guy. And I didn't join the Navy because I always wanted to, or it's a family legacy. I joined the Navy the same reason a lot of men and women join the military. They got dumped. So I got dumped, and I'm like, I'm leaving town. And I tried to join the Marine Corps, but the Marine recruiter wasn't in the office. This is a true story. He wasn't there, but the Navy guy was. And I had 2 friends of mine that were 2 years older than me that I grew up with that joined the Marine Corps as soon as they left high school. And they told me something I didn't know, that the Marine Corps is actually part of the Department of the Navy. It's just the men's department. So I went in to ask him where the Marine was. And he said, why do you want the Marine? I said, I want to be a sniper. I hunt, and Marines have the best snipers in the world. He said, look no further, my friend, because we have snipers right here in the Navy. You need to become a Navy SEAL first, no big deal. Then we'll send you to sniper school. Completely brushed that shit over. I didn't even know how to swim. I didn't. Not a lot of swimming over there. So I remember standing there thinking, I used to trust my coaches in basketball, so I'm like, I'm 19, I'm kind of naive, but this guy is a professional recruiter. Why would he lie to me? That's how it happened. All on accident.
Did you find it hard transitioning back to civilian life?
Yeah, there's some hard parts. The hardest part that I noticed, that's why it was cool to see the program that's transitioning veterans now, is it's a lot of guys that I know want to, they would rather go back to combat than fill out a resume because it doesn't make sense to them. Combat makes sense. And then they start to wonder, what am I qualified for? I know guys at SEAL Team 6, I have a foundation too called Your Grateful Nation. If you want to check that out, we're always putting special operators in every line of work. But I'll ask them, they'll say, well, I'm only qualified to come into a room and shoot a bunch of people. And I'm like, I know, and you're exceptional for that. But the skills they learn just being part of the high performance teams about stress management, problem solving, critical thinking, loyalty, which is huge. And then what we do at Your Grateful Nation is we just find where do you want to live, what kind of industry you want to be in, introduce them to someone in that industry, and then they get to, the company benefits because they're getting access to people they normally wouldn't, and the veteran gets access because they wouldn't have, like that. But yeah, for me it was, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know. I found out the hard way, but I had mentors and stuff in DC, New York, and places like that, and it worked out pretty well. But yeah, and you deal with stuff. I don't think anyone that's been to combat is ever the same. Just because your demons will come out once in a while. I don't have dreams about war. I usually have dreams about like dinosaurs fighting me and shit. It's got to have something to do with it. Yes.
What part of Montana were you raised?
I'm from Butte, Montana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love Butte, Montana. I actually brought a team of 21 Navy SEALs from SEAL Team 6 there for a jump trip. And I was saying, now, I know you're tough guys, but if you look for it, you're going to find it here. So don't be afraid to get knocked in your ass. But then they'll buy you a beer afterwards, that's cool. Yes?
Will you ever return to service?
No, never. I'm done. It was a good, like, it was a good time, and I gave them everything I had, and they gave me everything they had. And I don't owe them anything, they don't owe me anything. I owe the vets. I owe the vets, because people ask if I miss it. My response is, I don't miss the circus, but I do miss the clowns. So, sort of the actors, but like, I don't need to go to those parts of the world anymore. If I'm dying to see a pyramid, I'll just look tomorrow when I go to Las Vegas. There's a Luxor, ample buffet, beautiful pyramid. So now I'm good, I'll just stay local. Yes?
Yeah, what would you say was your hardest mission?
Well, it worked out really, really well. It's an awesome story, but it sucked. We had a group of 19 Al-Qaeda fighters who were on a peninsula north of Baghdad, and they made roadside bombs too. But they're in a spot so small that you can't just bomb them because there's so many civilians there, and you don't want to kill innocent people. And you can't drive in to get them because they're IED makers. They're going to blow up on the way in. You can't land on the X because they're going to come out and shoot you. It's all too small. You're not going to jump into there. So they came to us and said, think outside the box. How do you get them? And we're like, well, it would suck, but we can swim in. So we'll swim the 1.5 miles, and it's mostly swamp. So we swam in 17 Navy SEALs and 2 dogs, and they're important to the story. So the dogs swam in with us, we sneak in. I'll go into the details, but we got into gunfights. We ended up entering, I think, 10 houses. We killed all 19 of the guys. We didn't hurt one. One of our guys was hurt, not one. We didn't hurt a single woman or child, and then we swam out. So there's a lot of swimming, a lot of fighting, a lot of adrenaline. But the next day, because we'll always keep assets above watching, the locals who were innocent people trying to live their lives getting terrorized too, they noticed the bad guys are all gone. The bullies are dead. So they started having a block party, right? And so it got huge. It got so big that we had a reporter from Baghdad find out about it. He drove up there to get the scoop. So he went into the houses we went into and talked to the women and was asking who came last night. And the headline on the Baghdad newspaper said they were ninjas and they came with lions. And if you're a dog guy, that's just awesome. That was a hard one, but it was awesome at the end.
All right, last question.
Okay.
All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. You mentioned SOPs, or your standard operating procedures.
Yes.
I've been trying to learn as much as I can from Navy SEALs that have published material because of things like that, the mindset and strategies. Are you using that in your personal life, still out of service?
Yeah, yeah, I am trying to, and it's always a work in progress. It's fluid. I give myself my own advice every day because I fly, I deal with TSA. I get pissed off at people that can't figure out the metal detector, and it's more of a you gotta cool your jets, take a wrap off, take a step back and try to make an informed decision. But it's not like you can. You need to work at it. And I do it every single day. And you'll notice a lot of veterans too. Watch them walk into rooms. Watch them take that first step I was talking about. You notice that? They always clear that corner. SOPs, baby. Make sure your buddy's covering your back. But yeah, I do use them. I want to tell one final story because we have vets in the audience. I'm a vet. We talk about stuff. I want to tell a funny story just to know how. I want to mention my daughter one more time, who was involved with everything. We were a year to this has been my last one. We were a year to the day of Bin Laden's anniversary. And we're getting at a water park. We're in the hotel where she's putting her bathing suit on, getting ready to go swim with her, and the TV's on, CNN, I don't know why, but it is. And they said, all right, today's the 1-year anniversary of when Bin Laden was killed, so we're taking viewer email right now, and the best story will get on the air. Where were you when you found out Osama Bin Laden was dead? And my dad goes, oh my God, you've got to email him. She goes, just tell him you were in his bedroom.